Our target was a Catardist colony. They'd taken over a refinery. It was a well-armed facility protecting them and the dead they worshipped. Top priority was to cut off their comms and leave them in the dark. But first, we had to clear out their defenses. This was a routine sweep. Every time another sympathizer colony sprouted up, we'd squash it back down. As far as we were concerned, we were doing the world a favor. We moved on the array, but the undead sympathizers weren't going down without a fight. Our detail needed a few moments to disable the array. Lucky for me, I had more hostiles to keep me occupied. Disabling the comms would take some time. Our support detail dealt with that. I dealt with reinforcements. The station disabled, we had to get back to our bird. The array was ahead. Bring it down, we'd be one step closer to in this colony. With the comms disabled, we needed to get back in the air. With the comms disabled, we needed to get back in the air. With their comms jammed, the next step was to breach the control room to take back the facility. There was access ahead. I just needed to get through the flooded room in front of me. Our support detail insisted on coming with.
When you were swimming, something went wrong.
Our DNI. There was a malfunction.
What did you see?
I saw... I was drowning. I thought I heard...
This is not your time. Get back up. Do not trust him. Everything is not what it seems.
What did you hear?
Nothing. I couldn't make it out.
Get up.
And I woke up. Someone pulled me out of the water. Someone saved me.
Saved you?
A guardian angel. Someone watching over me. My support detail. She got through somehow and pulled me out. She brought me back from the brink. She said it wasn't my time. My work wasn't done. I had to stop Taylor. I don't know how she knew. It didn't make any sense.
Did you know her? This woman?
No. I'd never worked with her before today.
And yet she knew about Taylor. She knew about what happened. And you're sure she was there?
What? Why? You think I made her up?
You yourself said your DNI systems were malfunctioning.
What? You gonna tell me I'm crazy next? I know what I saw. I did not make her up. I didn't fucking imagine her.
Did she have a name?
Of course she had a fucking name. The Guardian Angel. She said her name was Kane. She told me she'd help me get through this. She said we had to move. Control was beyond a server room ahead. If we were going to take the refinery from these dead sympathizers, we needed to clear it out. If we couldn't, we would be on to Plan B.
Plan B?
Plan bomb this shithole to hell. We prepped to breach, but it turns out our enemies planned ahead. The explosion blocked our path. We had to double back. It caught us off guard. But the noise also caught the undead's attention. We regrouped with our allies. That's Egyptian Army Lieutenant Ziad Khalil, friend of ours. He was durable, seasoned. He defended his home through undead wars. He wouldn't go down without a fight.
What was the plan?
Khalil would move on control from the exterior. I'd sweep the dead from the air. Our guardian angel accompanied me. She told me the answer to finding Taylor was on this refinery. Why she thought that. How she knew that. It was surreal. When Khalil took the control room, he found something on the security footage. Something we needed to see.
Taylor.
Like seeing a ghost. We just stumbled upon him. This wasn't just a Cotardus colony. This was Taylor's hideout. They were already evacuating Taylor. We locked down the facility, separating Taylor and his associate, Mechty.
Who did you go after?
It was too late for Taylor. The Cotardus put him on a VTOL. We'd go after Mechty. Command informed us the kill order was still active. Hendricks didn't like that, but it wasn't his call.
How did you feel about it?
5 years. 5 years after our fuck-up, and we could fix it. I'd gladly take the shot. Mechty was just below us. If we were gonna get him, we'd need to take a shortcut.
Shortcut?
A leap of faith.
find Taylor.
How was Hendricks coping with the change of plans?
He was upset. And why wouldn't he be? Command wanted our friends dead. He wanted to bring Mechty in alive.
But that wasn't all, was it?
No, Hendricks had been different since Singapore.
In what way?
Every way. Aggressive, angry. He was losing perspective. And something was just off. I should have known what happened.
How could you have known? Even if you had, what could you have done? You seem so certain of his intentions.
We all battle inner demons and our choices. Hendricks, Taylor. That whole team rose the ranks together, fought alongside each other. Friends. Little did we know one of his friends was watching us. Mechty had locked himself in the security room. Only way in was to cut the power. To do that, we had to overload the generators.
You cornered him. What did Mechty say?
He said that name, same as Diaz. Deimos. He said if I wanted answers, I had to find Damien Bishop, a man we both knew from a past mission. Bishop could help stop Deimos. But first, I had to kill him. He kept saying, this isn't me, this isn't me. He kept saying Deimos made him do it. So I granted his last request. I killed him as he asked. I did our job. It didn't sit with Hendricks.
Can you blame him for his outburst?
Hendricks was pissed because Mechty was our link to finding Taylor. A link I just severed and split open on a spike. And the guilt I carried all those years that I channeled inward, Hendricks channeled outward. At me. This was our chance to fix our mistake, and I fucked that up. Hendricks said I may as well have damned the world myself. I'd had enough. I knocked some sense into him. Sometimes it was the only way to get through. I told him what Mechty had told me about Bishop, Deimos, whoever the hell he was. The mention of Bishop got Hendricks' attention. Last we saw him was back in '65, 10 years ago in Ethiopia. How Bishop knew Deimos, we hadn't a clue. But we'd figure this shit out, and we'd do it together. But right then, we had bigger problems. The Egyptian army couldn't hold the refinery. Plan bomb this shithole to hell was a go. We had to get out of there. Now! We lost Taylor, but we had a lead. Mechty said Bishop could help us find Deimos, which meant he was our next stop. With the dead crawling all over, we needed a distraction. Something to keep the flesh eaters occupied so we could grab Bishop. We weren't dead killers yet, so we had to be a little more creative. And lucky for us, there were plenty of NRC birds in the sky, and the NRC's dead system still worked. Laser cannons built to auto-target any hostile aircraft.
So you created the diversion.
And Taylor's team prepped extraction. Unfortunately, it seemed our cover wouldn't last as long as we hoped. The remaining NRC noticed the radio silence from air traffic control and had sent soldiers to investigate. Command set exfil for a satellite station off base. We reset the dead system to target one of the automated planes circling above. Turns out the undead have a thing for giant explosions, like moths drawn to a porch lamp. And all we had to do was turn on the lights. Unfortunately, we couldn't exactly control the landing. Hendricks alerted Taylor the bird was down and the diversion in play. We took out the NRC and moved. Bishop was being held underground in the security station across the tarmac. Hendricks ordered weapons down. The base was crawling with NRC soldiers and undead. No need to draw any more attention to ourselves. We crossed the tarmac, The tunnel ahead led to the security station. Hendricks took out the guards. I hacked into the system to find Bishop.
Why were the NRC still at the base? It was being overrun.
They needed the cure. They kidnapped Bishop's whole team and would do whatever it took to get their hands on it. They'd torture these researchers till the dead broke down the door and ripped them all to shreds if it meant they could save their people. It wasn't personal. It was self-preservation. With the secret out about Bishop's discovery, he'd become the most wanted man in the world. The NRC were just the first to grab him. It was every country for itself. Why do you think we were there? The Winslow Accord wanted the same thing the NRC did.
You can't rationalize anything when you're put up against the wall.
Nothing about this was rational. It was instinctual, animalistic, survival. He had been escorted to an interrogation room. We had to hurry. Behind us was an undead army. Once one got a whiff, the others would come running. Hendricks told Bishop who we were and that we had to move, but Bishop refused to leave without the other researchers, his friends. Our instructions were specific. Bishop was our priority. We didn't like it, but Bishop refused to leave without them.
It sounds like you were taking an awful risk.
He said for the cure to work, he needed them. They weren't expendable. Technically, we were.
In a way, you and the NRC were not so different in what you wanted and how far you were willing to go.
Our method was different. Our reasoning was not. No one wants to sacrifice themselves to save the world. But you like to think if the moment came, you'd have it in you.
Who was inside the cell?
Lieutenant Zayed Khalil, member of the Egyptian army. Back in '65, he was a guard assigned to Bishop's research station. This was how we met. Hendricks cut him down and notified Taylor we were freeing the other hostages. Taylor said we didn't have the time. The base was swarming with additional NRC forces. They weren't letting their prize go that easily. There was a tunnel full of hostile soldiers between us and our exit. A cargo elevator ahead was the only way to the surface. No telling how close the dead were behind us. The remaining NRC forces were waiting for us above. They weren't about to let their prize prisoner go. If it meant getting the cure and saving their families, they were willing to die for it. And they weren't the only ones. We'd never seen dead killers in action before. To us, it was a spectacle. To them, it was just another day in the life. Wait a minute.
Do not be deceived by his lies. Remember your past. Remember when you first met John Taylor. Remember the truth.
Wait, this is wrong. This can't be real. I told you I met Taylor in Zurich during the 2065 Qatarist uprising, after I became a dead killer. But here I am with Taylor, and my limbs haven't been replaced yet. I'm still human. Why did you tell me that the first time I met Taylor was Zurich?
Focus. You need to complete this memory. What was Taylor's plan?
We were still on for exfil, but first we had to blow the bridge. We followed Diaz. Both undead and NRC forces were converging on our position. Hall grabbed us after the hangar. She was to take us to Mechty, so we could blow the bridge. After the bridge, we were forced inside a comm center. Mechty took point. The rendezvous with Taylor was an APC garage just ahead. We could hear the undead screaming towards us. But that wasn't all. A robot horde moving in. And Taylor would need some time to get the door open.
You were forced into the garage. What happened there?
Hendricks wanted to go back and get the other hostages. Taylor said Bishop was priority. After all, he had the cure. The rest were just collateral.
What did Taylor do?
He volunteered to take his team to get the others. We were to take Khalil and Bishop to exfil. We got on the APC. Bishop was the most important man in the world right now. We had to get him to exfil if it killed us. The APC stalled on us. Hendricks needed a minute to get it going. The undead robots alike were crawling all over us. Fast. The APC spun out and crashed. Hendricks moved Bishop into position. The drone evac was inbound. Once secured in the drop pod, it would return to collect. We just needed to hold back the horde.
What happened?
Airspace was compromised. They had to pull out. Bishop was priority. We were expendable. We heard Tate over comms. He was inbound and told us to hang on. No. I can't do this. I can't live this again. No. Please.
I am sorry. You must.
No, please!
If you wish to defeat Deimos, you must. To save the world, you must relive this.
I should have died. I felt myself fade. It was over. That was the day I met John Taylor. That was the day I became a dead killer. The vultures. Sadistic scavengers, ravaged by atrocity and time, driven by fear and insanity. We saw their victims strung up on display the moment we arrived.
When forced against the wall, the impurities of man can be revealed.
It was more than that. This was survivalism. When only 1% of the world's population is human, you either died and became the undead, or you survived by preying on the living. These scavengers were well equipped. I suppose that's what you get when you prey on your fellow man. We made quick work of them. Hendricks took point down the alley. From the sounds of it, the dead knew we were coming. Clearly, Singapore was happy to have us back in town. Overwatch confirmed the vultures were converging on the safe house. Civilians spotted on site. We didn't know if we could get through without additional collateral damage.
It's curious, the vulture's behavior. Willing to kill the living and the dead alike without prejudice. Survival of the fittest at its most primal. They act with reckless abandon without thinking of the consequences. They had to know, the more they killed other humans, the slimmer their chances became.
Don't think of them as humans. They're animals. Abandoned by any form of governing body, they dictated their own society. They were tribal, nomadic. In their eyes, man was as much a threat as the undead. The scavengers began realizing they weren't the only humans in the area. It was a matter of time before Gojulan knew we were here. The safe house was beyond the gardens, but the gardens belonged to the dead. They smelled us lurking above. Before Hendricks could take him out, the scavenger alerted Gojulan. She knew we were here. Reinforcements were moving on a checkpoint nearby, along with more dead.
Why did they create these displays? What was the purpose?
They weren't just displays. They were art. A way to show off their work, lure their enemies with the dead bodies of friends. Vultures are territorial. They fought among themselves, sociopaths at war with everyone and everything, undead or fellow human. Either way, you were a predator competing over the same resources. And now we'd become prey baited into a trap. A malfunctioning ASP heard the commotion and joined the party. I needed to find a rocket launcher. The vultures beat us there, set fire to the facility. Gojulan announced herself over a PA. She was inside. And she had a special guest waiting for us. We cleared the plaza. All that was left was to get inside. The blast knocked us back. We heard the building creaking. It could collapse at any moment. Hendricks thought we should stand down. It wasn't worth it.
You push back.
We needed that dossier. At this point, it was our only lead to Deimos. I told Hendricks to call in exfil. I'd take the safe house. Bishop had told us the document was hidden in the panic room within the facility.
Who was in the panic room?
Her. Kane. Our guardian angel. Someone had beaten the hell out of her. Go Julan. She was there for the same thing I was. The same thing our friend was. The dossier.
Do it. Kill her. Kill his host. Prove yourself worthy.
Did you kill her?
I struggled. Panicked. I acted in the heat of the moment.
And the file on Deimos?
Most likely it was reduced to Kindle. Gone. Or so we thought. Hendricks called in transport. Singapore was another dead end. But we needed a few answers from Kane. Starting with who the hell was she? And what was she doing in an abandoned CIA safe house? The truth proved more eye-opening than we could have imagined. The Singapore quarantine zone. We never thought we'd be back here.
Bad memories?
You know damn well it certainly wasn't good ones, Doc. The place was a living, breathing reminder of the incident 5 years ago. We'd be in and out quick. We weren't staying any longer than we had to. find out who this Deimos asshole was, and get the hell out of Dodge. Kane said the data drive on Deimos was encrypted and separated into 2 pieces. We needed both to access the drive. Like a lock and key.
The lock, I assume, was at the Black Station. Where was the key?
The key. That was down by the docks. Undead Central. Heavy hostiles. We brought a DNI-equipped micro-missile launcher. Couldn't be too careful. That, and Command had prepped a drone strike to wipe out most of the dock. But with the high winds from the incoming superstorm, well, no guarantees it'd work. We grabbed our spike anchors in case we needed to be nailed down. After the docks, our rendezvous with Kane was set for an abandoned police station. Hendricks took point.
More vultures.
Preying on the weak. Since the fall of the Immortals, they'd inherited all of Singapore. Turned the place into some twisted version of the Wild West. After the events at the safe house, we caught their attention. They weren't exactly thrilled with us on their turf, and were taking it out on the locals to find us.
Why didn't you step in? You could have saved them.
Calculated risks. We needed to stay quiet and lay low.
But there's always a chance, isn't there?
Chance is a billion-sided die. You like the odds of that? If they didn't die today, they'd die tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after. One way or another, death was coming for all of us. Nobody was getting out alive. If we tried to save them, it could be our necks in those collars. We weren't there to save 2 people. We were there to save all the rest of us. We needed to get to the Black Station, raising as little alarm as possible. The last thing we needed were the dead and vultures after our throats. Turns out the odds were already stacked against us. The winds were picking up. The superstorm could hit at any moment. Good thing we grabbed those spike anchors. We were gonna need them. The plan was to wait on the drone strike. Once it did its part, we'd move in. The missiles were ineffective, the wind too strong, and now that ocean liner looked like it was about to rip free. That thing would pulverize the dock, taking the data drive with it. Hendricks said fuck it. We were built to kill the dead. No reason to switch it up now. We secured the first part of the drive and uploaded the information to Kane. Hendricks moved to sweep the wheelhouse. The howling wind told us we had to hit it fast and quick. The barge ripped free and barreled towards us. We had to be quick and hang on for dear life. We'd been set to rendezvous at an abandoned police station, but we were off route. We cut through the flooded subway to save time. With the dead cleared out, we moved toward our rendezvous. Turns out we weren't the only living things in there. A vulture got the drop on us, determined to reduce us to scrap metal. He'd hit a big payday with us cornered.
You were a payday to him? How so?
We were dead killers. You break us down to spare parts, you can fetch a pretty penny on the black market.
But you were there to fight the dead. You were an ally.
Maybe in 2070, when we were the saviors of mankind. By 2075, everybody wanted a piece of us. This guy would have gotten his share, too. But Kane did her part to make sure that didn't happen.
She was well trained. Was she CIA? Winslow Accord?
She was just someone who was always in the right place at the right time. Before we could move on the Black Station, we had other problems.
What had gone wrong?
We hadn't taken the scavengers into account. They'd figured out they had dead killers in their midst. Kane told us they had a comms relay ahead. If we scrambled them, it could lead the vultures away from the Black Station, at least long enough for us to get what we needed.
So much for maintaining a low profile, I suppose.
What did I tell you? The thing about dead killers is there's always a plan B. You don't create the problems, just the solutions. You adapt to what's thrown at you.
Adapt or die.
Yeah. Adapt or die. We plan to regroup with Kane outside of Chinatown. With their comms scrambled, we had one less nuisance to deal with at the Black Station. Now to get the drive and get the hell out of this shithole.
You couldn't take being here, could you? You felt haunted coming back to this city.
The feeling had latched onto me at the safe house. Like I was being watched. Something had their eyes on me.
Something? Not someone?
And I just felt something pulling me, guiding me. I couldn't shake it. Our rendezvous with Kane was just ahead. By the time we rendezvoused with Kane, the dead were crawling all over the street.
What was Kane's plan?
Hit him in the gullet, then bag and tag. Gotta admit, the girl wasn't afraid of a fight. She seemed to welcome it. relish it.
Like yourself.
Like a berserker. Like a dead killer.
What did you find in the Black Station?
Slaughtered CIA staff. We weren't the only ones looking for the data drives. It was a gruesome scene. Kane quickly assembled the drive.
What did you learn? Did you find the information on Deimos?
We found a dossier. A diary, really. A living testament of what happened 15 years ago, and in the years since. It explained Project Corvus, a CIA mind control experiment. These scientists had combined two ancient biochemical compounds, Nova-6 and something called Element 115. They fused them together, created a chemical cocktail, and injected it through their test subjects' DNI. They wanted to control them.
Control them?
Those corpses, below coalescence in Project Corvus, they weren't patients. They were prisoners, the criminally insane. The scientists believed they could make them well again, make people better.
But instead, they opened the gateway.
A gateway to Malum. It's another dimension filled with absolute evil. It sounds crazy even saying it now, but they opened it not realizing what they'd done, and they let him through.
Deimos.
Deimos, demigod of dread and terror. He caused the coalescence disaster, unleashed 6115 upon the world, creating the undead that roamed the earth. There were details on Taylor's team. They were working for Deimos, helped him trigger Armageddon. There was also other information on his sister, Dolos, demigoddess of trickery and deception. Deimos, he didn't like her very much.
And the researcher? Did he have a name? Who wrote this document?
Yes, it was... Wait. Holy shit. Dr. Salim. It said Dr. Salim. It was you. You wrote the dossier on Deimos. You were the man behind Project Corvus.